On. Everybody, welcome in live to another Rock Boys football podcast. Today we have two special guests on us, and we have a banger episode for you guys. We'll be looking at the 2021 NFL draft, and it will be a redraft. So we were all assigned eight teams, the four of us, and we went through and looked at which players we would have picked if we were the GMs that night. So we have an Excel sheet that we'll throw up here with all the assigned teams, and we will jump right into it. Again, if you guys are following, we're on Apple Podcasts now, also on YouTube. So check us out, like and subscribe per usual, and let's get this 2021 NFL redraft started. Dill, you're on the clock with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you got?
I think this will come as no surprise, but I am obviously just sticking with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, by far the best player in the draft. Obviously a huge need for Jacksonville, so there's not much to say. Just, you have to pick him. He's the pick.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best prospects we've seen in a minute in college. No-brainer. Urban Meyer is going to love having him in the locker room. Not really much else to say on that. Number two, I'm with the New York Jets, and I went with Justin Fields. I'll fill you in, D. So you went with Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Justin Fields. I think I like Zach Wilson, Joe Scott. I know you are a big Zach Wilson fan. I was not on the Zach Wilson bandwagon as much as everybody else was. Justin Fields, to me, if you turn on that Clemson tape from the 2021 playoffs, like he absolutely tore them apart. He looked like QB1, realistically. He looked like he was better than Trevor Lawrence. You got a 4.4 40, 6'3", 230. He can move with the ball, so he's kind of that dual threat quarterback. Big arm, sometimes struggled with accuracy. I think the biggest knock on him was he held the ball too long. He took a lot of sacks. I think that can get better. That's something you can teach. You help him get through his progressions faster. You help his play. You give him like plays he's comfortable with throwing. And I think Justin Fields can be a day one starter in the NFL. And I think he can be a very, very good quarterback for the New York Jets. And so that's why I went with Justin Fields over Zach Wilson. And to the number 3 overall, the 49ers. Rock, who do you got?
Yeah, you took my pick as well. Justin Fields is my number 3 quarterback, right behind Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. I thought he was more pro ready than Trey Lance. Maybe he doesn't have the same speed outside of the pocket, not the same running ability, but he's more than athletic to hold that load as a quarterback for the 49ers. A lot of the issues with him, a lot of people in like the Twitter verse, I guess you could say, was that like he couldn't get past his first read. And that was kind of debunked pretty quickly. If you watch his tape, they do a lot of triangle reads. It's not the same offense as it was with like Dwayne Haskins and Urban Meyer. So I think he's the most pro ready behind those two. And I don't think the 49ers made really a mistake by drafting Trey Lance, but the pick would have been Justin Fields for me for sure.
I think he's a great fit for the 49ers too, because he can get out of the pocket, throw on the run. And I know Shanahan likes to do that. A lot of play action in that offense. So I think that's a good pick. I had him QB2, so you were a little bit lower on him than me, but obviously a very good pick. I'd be very happy with Justin Fields in my team. Now we'll throw it to Joe, the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you got?
Yeah, so hate to be boring with the first pick, but I really think they made the right choice here. You might think about quarterback with Matt Ryan on the back 9 of his career, but you're financially tied to him for the next year, probably the next 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, at least. So, not accounting for position, to me, Pitts, he's probably the best prospect out there aside from Trevor Lawrence, obviously. He's got that rare combination of athletic tools and insane college production that just makes him that blue chip prospect. So I think it's a slam dunk pick for them, especially with Julio Jones out the door now. So yeah, pretty easy one, Cal Pitts.
So I know 1,000% agree with that. I think he's the best player in college football this year. And I get that like the quarterback has more value in the draft, But if we're talking pure player, I don't think there's a better player than Kyle
I don't
Pitts in
hate
this
that take
draft.
at all.
Are you not? Would you, obviously, like, we can't do this for the redraft, but like, would you think about trading that pick away?
I mean, yes, obviously, if you could, I think if they were able to get a haul for that pick or the haul that you would need for that pick, I think they would have traded out of the spot. But who knows? Outside looking in.
Cowboys are calling.
You think they were at for 4?
I'm sure that Jerry Jones pulled some sort of move right before the draft. He must have offered him a first and maybe a third, and obviously.
Yeah, but that Cowboys pick's not as valuable because they're gonna be picking low in the next probably 2 and 3 years. You know, like they're not gonna be a top 10 picking team, assuming Dak can come back and be healthy. So
I finally said something nice about the Cowboys, though. That was
if you're being honest, the Cowboys are a mid-range team.
Here we go.
They'll be right on the edge of playoffs. So yeah, that's not a valuable pick to trade a 2022 and 2023.
I feel like I was surprised they didn't trade, especially with them trading Julio. I was surprised they didn't trade the 4th overall just to acquire all that capital and just start rebuilding after Matt Ryan. Like, they had a good run, and most teams have to kind of step back and rebuild after a good run like that. They must have just not gotten offers. Like, I don't know why they didn't try. I mean, Kyle Pitts, obviously, Joe's right. He's just a freaking savage. So, yeah. I mean, I can't blame him for that. All right, Dale. So 5th overall, Cincinnati Bengals. Take Jamar Chase.
I think you had to go Penei Sewell there. I mean, that's a top end tackle that at a position that they desperately need. I mean, Joe Burrow really didn't have a shot. They beat him up all year, and eventually it led to a torn ACL. So to me, that's crazy to not take Penei Sewell. I think I mean, for this class, he's by far the best tackle, and I think he's a high-level tackle anyway, so it's not like you're reaching for him, and I don't know. I just don't see Jamar Chase adding a lot. I think that's a decent wideout core already, and Jamar Chase is an awesome player. It's not a knock against him. I just think the need was there, the fit was there, and the value was there, and it all came together, and they passed it, so I'm surprised.
I was surprised
they didn't go Penei Day on the day, but yeah.
Protect your franchise quarterback. I'm sure Joe Burrow was pulling some strings. I'm sure he wanted Jamar Chase. Telling the GM, the coaches, I want to throw to Chase. But I was kind of surprised they didn't go with Penei too.
Do you guys take that wide receiver core over the Steelers? A little bit of projection with Jamar Chase.
With Jamar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jamar is better than anyone on the Steelers, no?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think. Yeah,
it's not top-end talent on the Steelers. They're just 3 solid guys. But there's no there's no alpha dog.
That is true, and you kind of do need – I feel like you want a wide receiver one who you can go to on the big downs. That's a good question. I think I would, but, I mean, that's projection. I'm projecting Jamar Chase to be a stud in the league. I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, of course. But.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Penei Sewell. I was a little bit surprised. I mean, Jalen Waddle's sick. I love watching him on film. He's just explosive. I wish we got to see more of him last year. But I feel like you got to give your quarterback, your young quarterback, some protection. That wide receiver room is already pretty solid. You got you just signed Will Fuller too. So Devontae Parker, Will Fuller is a pretty good wide receiver core. You're throwing to Mike Gesicki. I want to protect Tua. I think that also allows them. So they got Austin Jackson and Penei Sewell now at the tackle spots, and you kick Robert Hunt. Rock, I know you know Robert Hunt. I feel like he's a better at guard. I feel like that's more of his true position. I don't know if you agree. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so like you get to kick Robert Hunt into guard, and then you got Penei Sewell and Austin Jackson, who are going to be some buckend tackles for you going forward. I wasn't necessarily surprised they didn't go with him again to a Jalen Waddle connection, but I think I would have gone with Penei Sewell. He's just too good to pass up. With that,
that's fair. I really don't hate the Dolphins pick there, though. I think that giving Tua like his guy, and to me, you're gonna draft then 2 left tackles. I think Sewell and Jackson are both more left tackles than they are right. Not that they can't play right, but you're spending a lot of draft capital to draft the same position in my mind. So
there's 2 positions there. There's 2 tackle positions in my opinion.
Yeah, so. But one is easier to fill than the other, and you're trying to fill both with ultra talented
Yeah.
left tackle type guys instead of building up a little more around them. But
I don't hate the pick either.
I don't
Yeah.
dislike the Sewell. I think that would have been a fine pick, but I wouldn't have hated Waddle.
Fair enough. Rock with the Lions.
We're gonna go with the 3 in a row here. I'm gonna keep the pick, obviously, with Penei Sewell.
One of the best.
I mean, I love the Lions draft. I think they were right up there with the Bears and the Browns, the 3 best drafts in the league. Just building up that front on both the offense and the defensive line. Penei Sewell is just going to be that, I guess, right tackle for now because they have their left tackle set. But once he's moved out, then we'll take that over. I mean, what was that stat? Yeah, he allowed one singular sack in 1,300 snaps. Like, he's just a beast. I would have had him right behind like Wirfs and Wills last year's draft. I had him Mekhi Becton. Ahead of Andrew Thomas. I don't really know what the Giants were thinking with that pick, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, no, that's OT1, and you're getting them at pick. What was that? 6 for the Lions?
Yeah.
So yeah.
7.
To me, that's a steal. I think that someone who's that much significantly better than, I guess you could call Rashawn Slater a tackle as well, but I think he's clearly the best tackle in the draft, and the Lions made the right choice with Penei Sewell for sure.
Yeah, Campbell loves him. All right, going on to the Panthers. They got this has been Rock's guy. JC Horn has been Rock's CB1 since January.
Yeah, I think before that. I think it was like November almost when I watched that Seth Williams game.
Yeah, you loved him.
Yeah. I mean, JC Horn is he's a great player. He's definitely the best press man corner in this draft, no question about it. He's the only guy who's able to hold his own at all, but somewhat contain Kyle Pitts. But I think we've already covered Justin Fields, and I hate to do another repeat pick. But from a team building perspective, I don't know if they're going to have an opportunity next year in the coming years to draft a quarterback like Justin Fields. They put themselves in quarterback purgatory, basically, with Teddy Bridgewater and now Sam Darnold. You're going to be somewhere picking between where they are now and 15, but also not competing for Super Bowls. So, I mean, Darnold, he's had a tough hand dealt to him, but you can't be confident in him as the guy going forward. And with Joe Brady there and some sneaky good receivers in Carolina, I'd like to see what Justin Fields could do in that offense.
On the same note, though, I want to see what Sam Darnold can do with that offense. You noted that he wasn't really dealt the best hand in New York, but I kind of want to see him on an offense that's not coached by Adam Gase and that has weapons around him and protection. I don't hate Justin Fields pick because the value's there, but
yeah, by picking him, you're not necessarily giving up on Sam Darnold. I think you're just spreading the risk on finding the guy.
Yeah, I agree. And I do agree with the purgatory because they'll just be they won't have a chance next year to pick top 3. Like, they'll be a decent team. They won't make the playoffs, but they'll probably pick around 10 to 12.
Yeah. You want Sam Howell or Keaton Slovis? I mean,
yeah.
No,
I agree.
You can't want those two. But I'm following this up in broken record. I think they should pick Justin Fields too. Yeah. I'm not going to harp on what Justin Fields is because I agree with everything you guys said. The one knock is the ball not getting out of his hands always pretty quick, but everything else is there: talent, arm, athleticism, leadership. All of it was really good. So position in need, best player available kind of thing. And I think the Broncos should have gone Fields too. So I'll leave it at that. There's not much more to say about him.
You're not a Drew Lock guy?
Definitely not a Drew Lock guy.
I don't think I believe in him either. He's kind of I feel like he's just a goon. I don't think he takes football that serious. That's like not what you want.
I don't. And he's
in Cancun all summer.
Yeah, dude.
He's in Cancun all winter.
He's just I feel like he just doesn't take the game nearly as serious as like some of the top, like Tom Brady does, or like a Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Eagles traded up to 10. They traded with the Cowboys after the Cowboys got pretty much just fucked by Surtain. And I don't think without a doubt, Surtain or Horn is going to the Cowboys if available. I was with Rock on draft night. tough scene. So then they traded to the Eagles, and I'm actually going to stick with Devontae Smith here. I think you want to figure out if Jalen Hurts is the real deal or not, and they don't really have the best wide receiver core, and Devontae Smith's going to be a one for them. I think he's. I know he has some weight concerns, and like my brother says, it's not a powerlifting competition. It doesn't matter how much you can lift. Can you get open? Can you catch balls? Can you score touchdowns? And Devontae Smith has proven at the highest level of college football that he can do it. One of the better separators in the country, one of the better jump ball, better body control. I mean, he's an all-around solid wide receiver. And the weight really didn't get – like, nobody really could press him. So it's like that. I'm not, like, too concerned about that. So I have him going 10 overall and giving Jalen Hurts a little help outside.
For my pick with the Bears, I mean, we're just going to keep beating this horse. I'm going to go Justin Fields. I mean, it's really tough not to say that, especially for where they are in the draft. That spot, like that was probably one of the top 3 first-round picks in the entire draft, like in terms of value. Getting your franchise quarterback that far in the first round is pretty unheard of if you're not going to trade up or anything. So, not much else to say there.
Did they not come up? No, they traded up, didn't they, from the Giants?
Yeah,
but they
didn't
give up.
Right. That's my bad. I forgot.
They didn't have to give up a first round pick next year. So like,
no, they go with their second round pick. Yeah, it was.
If you don't have to give up a next year's first, like who cares if you're trading up? Because
especially for a quarterback. Like I would have been fine with giving up next year.
It was such a good pick. Like that was a great pick for the Bears. I'm totally with you because like I imagine if he's a top 5 player, so you trade up to 11 to get him, that's totally worth it.
Right. I think that all Bears fandom were extremely excited about that. And it kind of kicked off the rest of the draft, and they were able to get some offensive linemen later on, and it just worked out beautifully for them.
Tevin fell to him. That was
Bears had the best first 2 rounds in the league, I think. Justin Fields
was a steal. 1,000% agree.
And then
Tevin's of good value too.
Yeah, phenomenal pickups. So we'll move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Joe, who you have them getting?
Yeah, I'll shake it up just a little bit here. I think I love Micah Parsons. I mean, he's definitely the best linebacker in this draft. Absolutely insane athlete, ridiculous pro day. But I really think that this team is just pretty much going to go where Dak and the offense takes them, and we haven't really seen him without a good to really good offensive line. And I love Tyron Smith for a long time. He's been an all-pro level player, but he's getting older, and with injuries, he's in a slight decline. So I think I think you should go with Rashawn Slater here. I mean, he's definitely offensive tackle 2 in this draft. And the good thing about him is I think you could even kick him inside to guard for a year or 2, and wait for the succession plan for Tyron Smith. He sat out last year, but I mean, started as a true freshman, 13 All Big Ten. And that sophomore year, obviously he did very well against Chase Young. When they
that's
went up
like
against
how
Ohio
his stock
State.
rose. Yeah.
So and I don't really have any concerns about him sitting out. I think he's a plug and play guard right away, and then maybe kick him out to tackle later.
For sure.
I'm totally with you. I think that succession will work perfect because Tyron probably will give you at least next year and maybe another year. But I'm with you. I think Rashawn Slater can play both at a high level and will eventually slide in at that left tackle spot. Because I don't think Tyron's got much more left. I think I very much agree with how your take on his declining health, and I think the level of play is declining too, quite frankly. So I love that pick. I think it's a great smooth succession, and you can play him early at guard and then let him slide in at tackle. So I'm very much on board with that pick.
Yeah, no, I disagree with that.
Let's hear it.
He's just as good as he was 2 years ago. I mean, the health, sure. We might watch like the first half of that Rams game when he got hurt.
Oh, he played. What do you want? What else?
No, it's all right. No, you watched one game. I get it. Like he got hurt and he looked kind of bad because he got hurt, but like I mean, the dude, if he wasn't hurt, he would have still been like probably an All-Pro or Pro Bowler. Totally fine. Not worried about him for 2 to 3 more years. Yeah, no, I would have actually done Rashawn Slater. I would have been totally fine with that pick just because I don't really trust Connor Williams that much. And it's a good succession plan. It's exactly what you're saying, but it would not take a year. We're talking 2 to 3 years at least down the road. I don't think you remember how old he really is. He came in the league at like 20 years old, barely 20, maybe a 19-year-old.
He's football old though.
No, but yeah, not worried about Tyron Smith at all. Still probably top 4 tackles in the league. Yeah, I'm just not worried about that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can watch the Rams game over and over again and watch when he got hurt. You can do that. That's totally fine. That's fine. I'll let you have it.
Regardless, though, it does make sense. So you take Rashawn Slater here. He plays guard for a couple. I mean, La'el Collins, and you don't know what's going to happen with him either. I mean, still don't know what happened with him last year. Rashawn Slater, stick him in. He's going to be a solid guard for you. And then at some point, you'll probably move out to tackle. So it's not a bad pick. I agree. We might disagree on the timetable of Smith's playing career, but it'll happen eventually, Rock. I'm sorry.
I can't lie. He was one of the first players that, like, when I started getting into the draft, like, he was like one of the like the guys. Like right after Dez got drafted, and then it was like Mark Barron, who I was obsessed with, and then we picked Tyron Smith. And I'm like, all right, that should be okay. And he just Hall of Fame career. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, so can't be mad about him. I have to stick by his side no matter what.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Dill, Chargers.
Not much to say here because we just talked about this player, but I think you have to take Rashawn Slater. Really the best player on the board at 15 and a position of need. So not much to say there. Just a really, really
that was a good pick, really, dude. Yeah.
Nice for him to fall there. So yeah.
I love the Chargers offense. Like, and I mean, fantasy terms, I know this is a little bit different, but like I'm trying to get some stock in that Chargers offense because they're going to score points.
Yeah, I have to try. But yeah, easy pick there. So
yeah, easy pick.
What do you got?
The Jets. A lot of people kind of got after the Jets for Vera Tucker. I actually didn't hate the pick. Like the idea of Mekhi Becton and Vera Tucker on the same side, just bulldozing people, kind of makes me excited. That being said, I think it's a little bit rich to take a guard that early, especially trading up so much. Like, I mean, I think if they got like Christian Darrisaw like late, I think that would have been better, and then you didn't have to give up so much stock or capital. Yep. But they did it. If I'm picking, I think I'm gonna go with Caleb Farley. I know he's got some injury concerns, but if he's healthy, he's honestly maybe the best cornerback in the country. If he's healthy. Crazy 40 time, 33-inch arms, that cover 3 defense with Robert Saleh. He'll fit right in. They don't really have, I mean, they have Bryce Hall, who they took. I like that pick 2 years ago from Virginia. And then they have, I mean, what's this guy's name? Austin Bless. I think he's from like App State. I mean, I'm not that I have a lot of question marks at that position. I mean, they have so many question marks, but that's one of them. Caleb Farley could be, his ceiling's just so high. I'm sure if Robert Saleh is confident to develop a corner like that, that defense can be really good. So I think I'm going with Caleb Farley.
That offensive line got a lot better today as well. Morgan Moses on a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
like that's nice. I don't know where, like what he plays right tackle.
Yeah,
I guess
that's where he played at the Skin.
Yeah, I mean
football team.
Yeah, the football team. Yeah, no. That offensive line's looking really good. Michael Carter Jr. is going to have a nice little.
I want stock in him.
I'm excited to watch him play for sure now.
I just worry about him getting his touches with Michael. I'm obviously a little off topic, but Michael P. Ryan, Tevin Coleman. I love Michael Carter. I want to see him get mad touches. We'll see if he does or not. But yeah, you're right. I don't hate the pick at all. Like Vera Tucker's sick. He could play tackle for you eventually. I think you'll stick him in at guard and just run power to that side and just let 2 big, strong men move people around. But yeah, Patriots, Rock, who you got?
For the Patriots, I'm not a Mac Jones truther.
Ooh, I was gonna tell you.
I don't care that there's not really any options next year either. I think that I honestly think that Slovis is a better option for next year. I think that Ritter from Cincinnati also will be a better option. And you can wait and you can build the offensive line. So I would have picked Tevin Jenkins. Both Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn are free agents after this year. So, I mean, I'd rather get that offensive line set for now and the immediate future to get a quarterback in there eventually. Tevin Jenkins was my offensive tackle 3, I believe. So I loved him. Strong hands, good as an athlete and a smart player. So I would set that lineup for the next coming of quarterback because, I mean, you can get one more year out of Cam Newton. It's not going to be great. It's not going to look pretty, but making sure that offensive line looks good is much more important to me this year.
That's not a win now team either. So
no,
I mean, they're years off at this point. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a good pick there. I would agree with that.
I would have stuck with Mac Jones. I don't know. I think at 15 it's pretty good value. Give him a shot if Bill believes in him. They obviously built some good tight ends around him. But if you don't believe in Mac Jones, I get the pick. I love Tevin Jenkins. He'll show up on one of my picks in the near future. So, Joe with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, this one was definitely the one I struggled with the most. I don't think they necessarily had a lot of great options here. I mean, Collins is a really good player, sort of a unicorn type. I mean, 6'5", 250, but he's got actually some very good coverage ability, especially for that size. But taking Isaiah Simmons last year in the first round, using the top 10 pick on him, back-to-back linebackers in the first round, I don't necessarily love it. They don't have a ton of holes on that roster, but obviously you got that Kyler Murray deal coming up. And so I think you actually may need to look at maybe replacing a tackle. So I go with Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Really, it's just that you have DJ Humphries as your left tackle. He's been a good player, but he's in the last year of his deal. So I think you solidify that side of your line, or you make him a swing tackle for a year. And yeah, I really don't think they have a ton of good options aside from trading down. So I don't hate the pick, but maybe go offensive line here.
Yeah, I think
you think Darrisaw is going to play left in the NFL.
I'd be surprised if he played there right away.
Yeah. But you're right. They do have Humphries. He's a productive player.
Yeah. I mean, he's got really good, quick feet. I'd say I have more questions about him as a run blocker than a pass blocker. But I do agree. He has a ways to go. It's more of a long-term pick, I think.
Yeah, my thing is that Virginia Tech team just doesn't play any sort of like pocket passing and so you barely even know what he is as a pure pass blocker. But you're right, he does have the athleticism. So maybe that swing tackle kind of deal for the first year and maybe move from the left if Humphries isn't going to be back. Yeah, that makes sense to me too.
And I think in my 2 cents I think Joe's right. I think this was just like a super weird spot for them. I don't love the Zaven Collins pick either, but I don't know if they had that many better options.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he's gonna do. He's kind of like it makes me think of Jabril Peppers. Obviously, is like turning it around now, but back in the day in his early years as a pro, like, what's he like? Is he gonna like play in the box? He's not really good enough at covering people. Like, what is he gonna do for them? I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard thoughts that they're gonna kick him to the edge and like have him rush the passer. Yeah, I have a lot of question marks on what he looks like as an NFL player.
Driving recklessly, getting arrested for that. That's what he's good at. So we'll see from there.
Oh, that's barely a crime, but whatever.
I got reckless driving too, but I didn't get
shout out. Yeah. Oh well, my pick is up. Ooh, nice. I know this is gonna make Rockoff mad, but
do it.
I actually didn't dislike. I think they should.
Yeah.
They wanted, if they thought they needed a left tackle, which they certainly do. He was the only pure left tackle I think left. And I know Rockoff, you don't think he's athletic enough. I think he is the athlete and he's got the traits. I think he's got work on the technique side, and for whatever reason, he wasn't getting deep on pass block sets. And again, I didn't think it was athletically
For whatever
challenged.
reason,
It was just like
bad
he
athlete.
stopped his feet. Well, we'll see. I thought he was a good enough player at left tackle to really be the last true tackle besides the two at the top that you could even consider in the first and second or first early second round. So I don't know. I think a lot of people get on the Raiders and sure, it might be a reach, but to me, he was the last pure left tackle left. And you needed a left tackle, you go get your guy, I guess. I don't know. He wasn't going to be there in the second
behind
round.
Gregory Rousseau, the worst draft pick in the first round.
No, you don't
like
say
the worst.
Here.
If we're talking like stiff as a board, like that, like he like cannot bend. I don't know what he was doing at the Senior Bowl. He should not have showed
The
up.
Senior Bowl was tough. I agree. He looked horrible, but on the field, he was good.
I mean, not that great at all. No, I just disagree. I hated Leatherwood. I don't know.
I know you did.
Ravens. I think if he got drafted to the Ravens, I think that could have covered up a lot of his flaws, like it did with what's his name? The guy who just got sent to the Chiefs.
The big dude. Yeah, something Brown.
No, what is his name?
Brown.
Orlando Brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that system can cover up a lot of Alex Leatherwood's flaws. I don't believe that whatever John Gruden is doing in Las Vegas is going to help. They got rid of their entire offensive line, and now they're just going to throw Leatherwood in there at left tackle, who could not touch a soul in the Senior Bowl, and then his tape did not look really any better. I didn't think so.
One-on-ones are I don't care.
Yeah, we know that. We know that, Joe. We know that, though.
But I don't know. Again, like I think Newsome would have made sense there too. That's kind of the one I really thought, like weighing the options. Like it seems like they could use a true number one. I don't think Damon Arnett is going to be that guy. So I thought Newsome made sense, but I think the left tackle is such a huge need for them, and they have the right end with Colton Miller. So it's like taking Darrisaw or I don't know, Tevin Jenkins. Like those guys to me are right tackles. I don't know. In Leatherwood's a risk, but I think he is the guy to have the best shot of being a pro left tackle out of those three. So that's my thought on it. But I don't trusting John Gruden's tough. I don't believe in him. So
I don't think
I thought the Damon Arnett pick was clear as day that he didn't know what he was doing. Farrell. There's been
they've had a couple. Yeah, I don't know if you want to be back in John Gruden.
You definitely don't. But I was a Leatherwood guy. I can't lie.
Fair enough.
I got it.
All right, so I got the Dolphins. They had Jalen Phillips, which I know Rock. That was his edge one. My edge one was Kwity Paye, but I like Jalen Phillips too. And I'm gonna go off of. So I had the Dolphins twice, so I just figured, okay, I'll say if they pick Sewell, then I would have gotten Elijah Moore at 20. I think thinking of like what Tua likes to do and what are his strengths, it's real getting the ball out of his hands quick. That means you want someone who can win in the slot. Elijah Moore will be one of the best guys in the slot and immediately in the league. Now, I'm not saying you have to stick him in the slot all the time, but I think that's where he's going to excel the most. He can do it all, but he can just get separation with the best of any of them, especially in the slot. So that's who I would go with. If I were the GM for the Dolphins, I would have gone Penei Sewell, sure, at my O-line, and then go get Elijah Moore.
That's fair. Because I agree. Elijah Moore to me was a very underrated player, and the fact that he fell into the second round, I thought was crazy. So I do like that Elijah Moore pick. If you're assuming they weren't gonna have selected Jalen Waddle.
I don't know.
And I mean, if we're talking about like in this situation, like maybe the argument could be like Rashad Bateman. I think Devontae Parker kind of is almost not the same wide receiver, but similar.
Do something different.
So Elijah Moore would make a lot of sense there. And like you and I think all of us are just huge Elijah Moore stands. Like the kid's going to be a beast, and especially with Zach Wilson on that Jets
He was
offense.
the only player who could really, I thought, gave it to JC Horn, quite frankly. He was getting open and doing his thing on him. So, yeah, I don't know. I love that pick.
Totally agree. But with my pick, Washington, I thought they were in a great position to go trade up for a quarterback. When Justin Fields started falling, I was more worried about them going up and getting him than there not being a cornerback left for Dallas. Like, that's the last thing I want is for them to get a quarterback. So glad they didn't. If I were them and if sitting pretty in this spot, probably wouldn't have gone Jamin Davis that early. I am a fan. I have been pretty early on, but I probably would have gotten a tackle. I got Christian Darrisaw this pick. I think he was one of the more fun tackles to watch. His mean streak is just so exciting. Watching him just bury kids into the ground is awesome. A little bit more consistent with his foot drive in the run game, just more consistent in general. But if he shores that up, I think if Washington would have picked him, it would have been a great pick for the future. But I mean, Jamin Davis, great player. They do need a linebacker, so it fits a need. Definitely a team to watch for the NFC East. They're probably the second best team for sure in the NFC East, I think.
I agree with that. I think we'll see what Fitzpatrick can do with them, but I actually like that team. Their defense can be really good.
All right, let's see. Looks like I'm up. Yep. New York Giants. I like what they're thinking here, going wide receiver. I think this year is pretty much all about finding out whether Danny Dimes is your guy. I really like Kadarius Toney. I think it's just a little high for him. He might be the best yards after catch receiver we've seen in a really long time. But I still think he's really raw. So instead, I think I would have gone Rashad Bateman. He's not quite the level athlete of a Kadarius Toney, but he's just so much more polished as a route runner. He didn't play quite as well last year. His tape didn't look as good, but apparently he was playing through some issues where he lost a bunch of weight during COVID. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think Toney's probably resigned to more of a gadget type role, at least for the first year, but they got to figure out about Daniel Jones right now. So I think Bateman can step in right away, inside, outside, and he's maybe doesn't have the highest of ceilings, but I think he's a really solid high floor prospect.
Yeah, I like that. I think they definitely needed a wide out to kind of be the running mate to whoever they got from the Lions. I'm blanking on the name, but yeah, Kenny Galladay. So I do agree, because you're taking a pretty decent risk with Kadarius Toney, especially because I don't see him stepping right in and being a producer as you kind of laid out. So I like that pick. I would like the Bateman pick because they do need that wide out spot. So
I think that. Oh, sorry.
I think I like Kadarius Toney. I think Joe makes a good point with he's not that polished, and that's fair. I think he has all the tools to become polished. I mean, you saw he just kind of freelanced on some routes. He's not running clean routes. That being said, give me that athleticism, give me that shake. If I'm gonna find ways to get the ball in his hands, and he's gonna be good for me. I think you kind of have a solid receiver in Kenny Galladay. So now I want someone who can more create after the catch with Kadarius Toney. I don't hate Bateman, but if you give me those two for the Giants offense, I'd probably go Toney.
My issue with the Toney pick is that Jason Garrett is the one offensive coordinator in the entire league that I just do not trust to get him the ball effectively. I don't know, watching him do his thing in Dallas for 2 years, whatever is calling the plays. And then in the Giants last year, they were pitiful. That offense looked terrible. He's the one coordinator that I just do not trust to have Kadarius Toney ISOing, maybe quick screens. He'll mess it up somehow. I just know he will. So I like Rashad Bateman better in that offense, even though they already have Galladay. I don't know. I just don't trust Garrett.
Fair enough. You have plenty of reason to not trust him as a Cowboy fan. Dale, Colts.
I think I really love the Colts pick here. I thought Kwity Paye was a a better player than where he was picked. So I think if I was the Colts, I stick there.
Yeah.
For me, they need a guy who can win in the pass rushing game on the edge, especially with having Armstead there and him being they have Armstead, not Buckner, right? I always get, but whichever one of them they do have has been really productive for them inside. And
I'm pretty sure it's DeForest Buckner, but
I would defer to you because those two from Oregon confuse me every time. But I love Kwity Paye at Michigan. Obviously, I'm a Michigan guy, so like there could be some bias there for sure. But I thought he was easily a top 20 guy. For me, the best edge rusher in the draft. Really, really good athlete. Really good in the run. Really solid everywhere else. Like I don't think he's like Jadeveon Clowney type athlete by any means, but really pretty good athlete and really solid player. I thought this was a good pick for them and a good need, good value. So I did like that pick.
See, before I go on to my pick with the Titans, Rock was not as big of a fan of Kwity Paye because he likes to see the shiny objects. He doesn't respect just a solid edge who's going to stand up tackles, be a dog in the run game. And with super like underrated ability, I know the production wasn't there, but he won a lot of reps on the outside. I give Rock a hard time because we don't agree on Kwity Paye. I think he's just super underrated. Like you turn on the film, he has great motor, stands up tackles. He's great in the run game. Very, very strong. I think he benched 33 times, 225. Great athlete.
I mean, with those short arms, he better be able to get at least 30.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. I know you're worrying about the arm length so much, you nerd. But yeah, like I think he fits the Colts defense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a round where I thought he would go. It's not like I think this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think that like where the Colts needed to replace defensive ends, like they got a great one or a good one.
He's a solid. He's just going to be in his floor is high. Like he's not going to be a bust.
Yeah.
He's like one of the guys I feel very confident saying he's not going to be a bust. His ceiling might not be as high as a Jalen Phillips, but Jalen Phillips certainly could.
Colts team is close. Like they're not in development stage. They're kind of like they're peaked to start making some pushes. So they'll be able to come in and play early, I think, and give them productive snaps.
Yeah. I know I wrote in my notes when I was making the Titans pick. They went with Caleb Farley, which I do not mind at all. I was on the line. So I think the Titans might have been a good fit for Kwity Paye if he fell. Obviously he got nipped. We were watching draft night. I thought Kwity might go to Tennessee. And so I'm thinking I want to go on the offensive line. I think that's your identity. That's how you guys move the football. That's how you score points is up front. And the two guys I think who would be great fits is Christian Darrisaw or Tevin Jenkins. And so I was trying to determine which one I like more. I ended up going with Tevin Jenkins because I think he eventually can replace Taylor Lewan at the left tackle spot. I have questions of Darrisaw being like a left tackle at the pro level. But one thing, like Rock talked about him earlier when he made the pick for the Patriots, Tevin Jenkins is an absolute mauler. I mean, he's as nasty as they come. People did not want a piece of him in the Big 12. And that's kind of fits with the Tennessee Titans MO. We're going to punch you guys in the face and run downhill with Derrick Henry. And I think Tevin Jenkins would be a great fit, not only for that team, but that culture.
Yep. And I mean, of course, they missed badly on Isaiah Wilson last year. So you still need that right tackle to be filled. And I agree. Tevin Jenkins, good value there, really good player. Fits exactly what they want to do. So I'm way on board with that pick.
With my pick, I mean, I think Darrisaw was a great value for the Vikings here, and they need offensive line help. But I think they need cornerback help a little bit more. Especially, I don't know what's going to go on with Jeff Gladney with that off the field stuff. I don't really have an update on that. I didn't really learn anything new about it, but my pick would have been Greg Newsome. I think that if he was if he wasn't injury prone, didn't have all those in college, he'd probably be the second best corner on my board, right behind J.C. Horn. I think ahead of Patrick Surtain.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, man-to-man, I think he's the best man-to-man corner in this draft, ahead of J.C. Horn, ahead of PS2. like his attitude. He's got that, like, he's got what JC Horn has in terms of like get in your face, frustrate that wide receiver one, takes incredible angles on the ball. Click and close is his best, like, in the draft as anyone else. I mean, he's an impressive player. And I think that the Vikings really could use that on their defense because last year it got really bad towards the end of the season. So my pick would have been Greg Newsome.
So about Greg Newsome, Rock, you probably evaluate cornerbacks way better than me. He's kind of like, would you say like the best technically in the draft? Like he might not be the athlete that JC Horn is, but from what I read, like he's got really good technique. Is that fair to say?
I think Surtain has the best technique.
Okay.
But I think if you're looking for a player in between Horn with the mental side and then Surtain with that technique, you're gonna get a Newsome.
Gotcha.
So like if you want the best of both worlds, he's just right there. So I loved him. Yeah. Right when I watched him. Like I wasn't like a huge like Northwestern fan. Like, I didn't watch their games.
No.
And I was just going through all of like the players, like all the cornerbacks, and I finally got to him. Like he's different. Like you can just tell he plays the game a different way. Yeah, I loved him. So I think that would have been a great pick for them.
He's just got to play football. Miss 50% of his games. Yeah. Joe with the Steelers.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I would get this one actually, because I really, really hate this pick so much. I mean, they're trying to do something about their non-existent running game, which keeps getting worse. Bill and the Wave out the door, and this morning I think actually they released David DeCastro.
Yeah.
So yeah, James Conner did not look great by any means, but I'm not even sure prime Adrian Peterson works behind that line. So it's just, instead of that, I think you go with a Tevin Jenkins. So I won't go in too much about him. We've already talked about him quite a bit, but he's, like you said, he's an absolute mauler in the running game. And that's exactly what they need in Pittsburgh. And I also just have a couple questions about, Harris as a player. He's obviously behind that Alabama offensive line. A lot of people have looked good behind it. Also, he's on the older side for a prospect. He's actually only a month younger than Josh Jacobs. He's 23. So, like, the fact that he looked like a man among boys out there sometimes, he literally kind of was a man among boys. So, he's got good hands. He's a good, not great athlete, but I think adding a run blocker like Jenkins moves the needle a lot more for your running game than Najee Harris.
I agree. I think I'm not a big Rock is on the board too. Just like, don't spend that much draft capital on running backs, early draft capital, don't pay them. I kind of agree. If you want your run game to get off the ground, get a guy who can block for running backs, not necessarily. I think Najee Harris is, I'm probably a little higher on Najee Harris than you sound like you are. Is he your RB1? Was he your RB1?
I'd probably have him 3, maybe 2 or 3.
Behind Etienne and Javonte.
I really like Etienne, and him and Javonte Williams are pretty close, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, he was my RB1 by a decent margin. I mean, like the size and speed, the athletic ability, saw those hurdles. I had a little questions about his shake. Dill had some questions about his vision, which we're quickly debunked. We're quickly debunked.
Put that to rest, Dylan. Quickly put that to rest.
Saw him bounce one out. I made a take. Like, we don't say.
You made a stupid take.
Yeah, Najee Harris.
Stupid. I'm saying it's stupid.
So yeah, running backs don't matter. I think that, like, with Najee Harris, what is nice is that you won't have to pay him on his second contract.
Yeah.
You get rid of him after his rookie deal because he's already going to be 27 after his rookie deal, or 26, something like that. So in this case, it still doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I didn't love this pick. This was bad. This was bad.
You knew they liked him, though. You saw Mike Tomlin just like all over him at the pro day.
You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, everybody did, and everyone just shaking their head.
That under over on the 0.5 running backs taken in the first round was the easiest money I've ever had. Just hammered that.
Dill, Jaguars. So the second running back goes off the board.
Nope, I will carry on with this. Let's not be picking running backs in the first round. No, I don't love Etienne. I think he's good. I don't think he's quite a first rounder, and I wish he could have played at a similar level to his junior year I wish he could have played at his junior year level again as a senior, because I really thought he took a big step back this year. He just didn't look like he had that same one-cut burst that he had, and wasn't making the big plays for them. And I get that his offensive line was definitely far worse, but still, you come back as a senior. I wish he could have just gotten a little bit of a better tape out on a senior year. But nonetheless, I think my pick would have been Levi Onwuzurike from Washington. I think he fits that 3-4 defense. I think he is a very capable nose guard who can also rush the passer from the 3 or 1 tech. So I think he's a really good versatile player for them. To me, he was a more solid player than Christian Barmore in the defensive tackle game. I don't think he has quite the ceiling of Christian Barmore, but a really solid player. And I think right now they're running in with Malcolm Brown, and I'm really not a Malcolm Brown fan. So I think for this team, I think they need some help on defense, and going first 2 picks is offensive skill. I didn't think was necessarily a right move for them. So I don't know. I would have liked them to see Onwuzurike. He wouldn't have been mad if they took Barmore, but for them in that 3-4 defense, I think Onwuzurike fits a little better.
And especially with Cam Robinson. I mean, like, how are you going to spend a first-round pick on Etienne and then say he's going to be our third down back? Like,
yeah, really?
Hello? That just made no sense.
I love the overreaction on Twitter when they had him catching passes in training camp or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're just gonna put him receiver now, and now they're like never gonna use him. It's just, yeah, it was a huge mess.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom. She was not a fan of the podcast. Anyways, we're up with the Cleveland Browns. This was the hard. So for me, I was like looking at this last night, and I was kept texting Dylan about this. I was not convinced. The Browns have one of the best rosters on paper in the league. I mean, they're like super talented, and I was trying to be like, all right, what's going to get them over the hump? I mean, I don't hate Greg Newsome there, but I mean, you brought in Troy Hill, I believe, who was solid for the Rams last year, and then you have Denzel Ward on the other side. You pick Greedy Williams. Was that out from the LSU? Greedy Williams, I think, in the early second last year. I don't know is Greg Newsome going to help you the most here? Win a Super Bowl? I don't know. So then I was thinking, okay, so what can help them? Elijah Moore on the inside might help them, but I ended up settling on Christian Barmore. I think how we saw you can beat the Chiefs is get after them with your front 4, and so like let's just add to this weapon. So now you got Clowney, Myles Garrett, Barmore, and they're gonna. I mean, they cut Sheldon Richardson, who was kind of a cap hit, and so I think Christian Barmore is a great guy to come in, get after the quarterback with your front 4, and then that's probably putting you in the best position to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, I would have couched it with Newsome, but I mean, adding more to your front is never a bad thing, especially, I mean, up north in that cold weather, ground and pound game. I mean, I don't know. I think Barmore's a good player, and he would fit that scheme pretty well. So I like that pick.
And you're right. Newsome was like the best value, I think, right? Because I mean, I think you had him as a top 20 guy.
Mm-hmm.
I had him as a fringe. I had him in the 20 to 25 range. So I don't hate the pick. I don't hate the value. I just don't know if that's like the position of need. I also think JOK could have gone there. They ended up getting him in the second round, and Tony Fields, who I also really liked out of West Virginia. So like their biggest hole on the team was that linebacker spot. And I was like, are you gonna what are you gonna take?
That was tough. Where are you gonna go at linebacker there? There's nothing.
So I decided to go with Barmore. That was like a super I was very conflicted. I think you can go a lot of different ways with that pick, but that's kind of what I settled on. Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty simple. They needed wide receiver help. I know they got Sammy Watkins in the offseason. This
was a steal.
But Rashad Bateman's the pick. You need to get Lamar Jackson some more weapons on the outside. You can't just rely on the offensive line, his running ability to just carry you every single year into the playoffs. We saw what happens in the playoffs when you can't pass the ball, and they just stuff the middle of the box. Adding him to Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, and then obviously Sammy Watkins, it's going to help that offense tremendously. So he's one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. I think he's super underrated. And I don't even think he should have fell to 29. Is a great pick by the Ravens, and I would definitely stay with that.
Yep, agree. That was kind of a no-brainer. I think when Bateman ended up falling to them at 27, I was like, you just got to go with him. Joe with the Saints. This was a surprising one. I thought there were a couple other edge defenders who I had higher than Peyton Turner, but
yeah, I mean, no surprise here. I would have gone with someone else. I mean, the Saints obviously have a type, right? I mean, they like these big, 270-pound plus sort of pocket pushers as opposed to like speed rusher guys. And we've seen them do this before, maybe overvaluing a defensive end like that, Marcus Davenport, trading a pick to go up to get him. So I really don't know a lot about him. Obviously, he was playing at Houston. The one thing I saw was that apparently he had a sub 7.3 cone, which is just ridiculous for someone at that size. But when you got a combination of Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston throwing to Michael Thomas and a bunch of nobodies, I think you got to look wide receiver here. And I'm not going to have to sing his praises, but Elijah Moore, I think, is a perfect fit there. My player comparison for him would be like an Emmanuel Sanders type, who sort of just left the door. I mean, he's undersized, but put up 19 bench reps, 4.35 40. I think he has the athleticism to maybe do it on the outside, even though he really wasn't asked to do that at Ole Miss. But I think that's great value there. I was really surprised that he slipped out of the first round at all.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you go with Elijah Moore too. We're all Elijah Moore fans here. And I think also adding to those numbers, I think he had a dummy cone drill too, 3-cone drill. I mean, you watch him run it, he's just so smooth, changes direction so well. And like you said, I think he can win on the outside too. I don't think that's not where he's going to excel the most. I think he excels the most in the slot, but he's not limited to a slot route tree. You can put him outside.
We just haven't seen him do it yet. It doesn't mean he can't do it.
Exactly. I love that.
I think my comp for him was another Saints or ex-Saints wide receiver, Brandon Cooks. I totally agree that he fits in that offense, or would have fit in that offense really well. With the departure of Emmanuel Sanders, I think that would have worked awesome. So I love the pick there.
I think Drew Brees would have loved him, but we'll see
if he was there.
We'll see if we'll see if Jameis Winston / I don't see how they can run out Taysom Hill as a starting quarterback, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Packers, Dill.
To follow up,
do you try to please Aaron Rodgers?
You have to. You had to pick Elijah.
Yeah.
When they didn't pick Elijah Moore, that was like nail in the coffin. If I was Rodgers, I would have quit right on the
slamming the door. Yeah.
It's such a ridiculous pick. I mean, Eric Stokes is I think a reach at that. I mean, doesn't seem like he fills a huge need for them. They have two guys who are very capable players now, and Alexander and King. So I thought that pick was crazy. Elijah Moore sitting there, you pass him up, and now you're trotting out the same crew last year, which only had Devontae Adams, and hopefully you can get a little bit out of Amari Rodgers, who is a solid player, but you're not going to get a ton of production from him right now. So I thought that was a preposterous move to not pick him. So not going to talk about Elijah Moore much, but that's my thought.
If you're going to take a corner, I mean, I'm looking at someone like an Asante Samuel there over someone like Eric Stokes. I mean, he ran a blazing 40. I think it's like a 4.28 or something.
4.29, some crazy.
But I mean, you got to take these per days with a grain of salt. It's playing the corner position is about a lot more than just pure speed. So I would have taken someone like a lot of corners over Eric Stokes, frankly.
Yeah, and obviously you have Aaron Rodgers, who's I think he said he wants to leave, and then it's I'm just going to give you one last fuck you and not take another wide out, especially with somebody like Elijah Moore on the board. So the Bills, they go with Gregory Rousseau. I know Rock doesn't like him. And I hate to do all these repeats, but I think Christian Barmore was a very good option for the Bills too. I mean, I like Rousseau. I think he can win in the pass rush from literally any position on that defensive line. He can win at like the 3 tech, and he can win outside. He's got good length. I think his jumps were really bad, not really much explosion, but I mean, he's raw. He played tight end in high school, so you give him a couple years in the NFL to like learn how to use that long body. I like him. I think he's got those long arms. You watch him on film and everyone's like, oh, he just like got lucky with so many sacks. It's like he got lucky. He didn't get lucky with sacks. He's got just super long arms and he's just reaching out and tackling people. So I didn't hate the pick. It is kind of what Joe was saying with the Saints. The Bills also love those big edge defenders, 270 plus. So I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I think I would go with Christian Barmore to win in the middle. He's probably the best pass rusher in the middle, so that's probably who I would have gone with if I was in their position.
Yeah, definitely a wise move to move on from Gregory. So, because I mean,
that's crazy.
He's like a third or fourth round pick in terms of tape. Did not like Rousseau one bit.
He's a little bit developmental. I will agree with that. I think there is a decent amount of upside if you can learn how to use that body.
Yeah, I mean, like in the end of the first round, it's where you take those high value positions with like kind of risky but athletic players. So Rousseau definitely fit that mold, and so did Jason Owe with my pick. I probably would have kept that pick if I were the Ravens. I wasn't a huge Owe fan. Definitely the tape was not there this last year. I think he only had like 1 sack.
The 40 was
on a
there,
team.
though.
What was that?
So the 40 time was there. That was about the only.
Yeah, the 40 time was there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak. But I trust Harbaugh, not asking him to do too much on the defensive side his rookie year. Developmental piece for sure. You don't need him off the edge immediately, but I mean, he'll learn behind a good group of guys. And I would have kept that pick as it was.
Yeah, and they got some shoes to fill there with the guy leaving for the Patriots. Matthew Judon. Thank you. And that's a huge loss. So they are going to need to try to replace some production, see what Jason Owe gives them.
I thought
Oh, sorry, it's not Jason. It's an Odafe. I forgot he changed his name.
That is right.
I didn't know.
Or he didn't change it, but he's going by.
No, he wants to go by that name. We're gonna respect it on the podcast, and we'll put. No, I should. That's fucked.
It's Odafe.
Odafe.
Yeah.
Got you.
I didn't know that.
No, I saw that too. Yeah, me too. It's a great name. Rock, one more thing before we go to the Bucs. What do you think about Tevin Jenkins here? I thought that was who you're going to go with for sure.
Yeah, I guess that could have definitely been a great pick there. I to be honest, a little bit forgetful about that because I already picked him.
Yeah, that's fair. We picked him like 8 times already.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on the offensive side of the ball already with Sean Bateman. I think they do need a little bit of edge help, and getting someone who can down the road be possibly, I mean, if we're projecting hugely here, like could be one of the most dominant players in the NFL just based off his specs. I don't think it was a bad pick.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think I can see that being a solid pick. Joe, close us out here.
Yeah. So with the last one, I mean, coming off a Super Bowl, and bringing everyone back. They don't
everybody
have
back. That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty much everybody, like literally everyone back.
Yeah.
So this was tough. I mean, I don't know a damn thing about Joe Tyrone. I'll be honest. I mean, he was an opt-out last year for Washington. I think with a luxury pick like this, you're just looking for guys that are slipping. So I was sort of just deciding between Barmore, but since we've already had him taken a couple times, I think I might go with either Trayvon Mayrig or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Just guys that I would probably with JOK because I was just amazed that he fell out of the first round at all. You've got Levante David there and you got Devin White, obviously, but Levante David sort of nearing the end of his career. They really couldn't do any wrong with this pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just figure out where he plays. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, so again, maybe he doesn't play that much his first year behind those two guys. But yeah, Levante David, I think, been in the league for 10 plus years now, so he's nearing the end. I like the pick too. And like what I read about the Bucs, like you mentioned, they're bringing back literally everybody from a Super Bowl team, which I don't think's ever been done. Like just somebody a shot in the arm, maybe, who can just make your team a little bit better. Which you'd think maybe running back, but Najee and Etienne were off the board, so I don't think you go running. Maybe Javonte Williams, that wouldn't have been a terrible pick either.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think with JOK, he's just so much more than a linebacker. Like, like on that defense, they obviously have great linebackers already, but I mean, you can put him at it like strong safety for a couple downs, like nickel, have him out there, blitz off the edge. I mean, he can really be a do-it-all, like Swiss Army knife on that defense. So that would have been really a great pick too.
Yeah. The only problem is we kind of talked about it earlier, is like you don't want to just be like average at it. Like everything, you want to like be solid, so kind of avoid that, like what I can't really do anything at an NFL level, but I can do everything okay. But I think JOK is different than that. So I agree. I think I like the pick. I think he had a heart condition, so I think that's why he fell.
Yeah,
something like super late. All right, that'll conclude the draft. I like it. I think we liked looking back. I think we liked a lot of the same players. So like Justin Fields, I think we were really surprised that he fell. Penei Sewell was a couple picks. We liked Rashawn Slater. I agree. Tevin Jenkins showed up a few times, I think, twice. I was surprised. I think he was another guy who fell off of a medical red flag late. Who else do we like a lot? Elijah Moore, good to see. But I like it. I think we did a pretty solid job getting some improvements, offering some different takes for the fans. I guess
I think that like what this really shows is just who we saw as like the biggest steals or the best value. Like obviously that lump of Sewell, Fields, Slater a little bit, like that multiple name guys, like who we like and who we saw as value. So I think it's a really cool exercise.
Yeah, I like it too. I think we're gonna try to do a couple more 2021 draft episodes or 2022 draft episodes. It's a little early for 2022, but we'll see. Maybe just get like a top 20 players to watch.
Never too early to be mocking.
A little primer.
That's our saying. But boys, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Joe, tell Levi I said happy birthday. I think it's
yes, I will. I'm about to go see him right now.
Hell yeah, good to hear. So shout out Levi, listener, happy birthday, brother. And yeah, we'll try to have you guys on again to do a little bit more draft work. I appreciate you guys coming on, and talk to y'all soon.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Peace, boys.
Yeah.